Hello and welcome to the A&A Coffeehouse. Have a seat wherever you like. Adam and Anthony will be with you shortly. Recording.
All right. Hello, everybody. We're back to the A&A Coffeehouse podcast. I'm your host, Adam Kincaid. With me is Anthony DeFranco.
Buongiorno.
Our illustrious producer, Ariel Ayers. Once again, we have the elusive Spaniard, Alvaro Gutierrez Valladares.
Hard to find me.
And he keeps writing his name in Spanish. He got in trouble for that the other day.
Isn't your name in Spanish?
Yeah.
It is.
Whoa.
It is.
And that voice you just heard, that sultry addition to the soundtrack, that is another special guest star. That is Daniel Maroney. Daniel V. Maroney.
Thank you for having me.
Adam, you're getting weirdly flirtatious with Daniel.
That's how it goes. It's
The spicy Daniel Maroney.
this friendship is based on very little but less.
There you go.
Oh, elusive Spaniard. What?
First thing, I want to know, Alvaro. Yeah, just hearing it. What happened? How did you get in trouble for writing your name in Spanish?
Yeah.
One of our
fantastic.
students had to do a class, make a class, be a teacher for one of her projects.
Her project in
And she
history
asked
was
me
she had
to
to
be her
teach a
student.
class.
So I had to do answer a test based on what she taught, and I wrote my name at the end. And she was about to dock points off because I wrote my name in Spanish. I quickly informed her that I am Spanish and that is my name, and a very surprisingly long argument ensued.
Wow.
Luckily for all of us, it was my class, so I got to watch her. She had to teach 4 people. So I got to watch her teach the first 3 people and decided that it was priceless, so filmed Alvaro's class.
Oh, you have that on film?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow. Can we put
Lovely
this on the
20-minute
website?
recording.
No, she's a minor.
Oh,
I have a lovely
that's
20-minute
Student
recording of
teacher
Alvaro,
confidentiality, I'm sure.
No, I eventually got to
okay.
explain how the Spanish naming conventions and gave her an example. Say, okay, well, my father, his name is Juan Jose Gutierrez Alvarez. My
This is
brother,
when she tried to
Juan
deduct
Jose
it using his
Gutierrez
last name.
Valladares. He said, well,
Oh, okay.
stop! You said those in Spanish too. Okay.
Yeah.
I actually
I'm
had
done.
another student ask me today what your name is in English. How do you say Alvaro in English? And then she asked why you don't just go by an English name.
Why
Like, why won't you use your English version?
They asked me. I said, okay, you don't translate names, but the English equivalent would be Oberon, which is hideous. So my name is Alvaro.
I'm so sorry to anybody named Oberon that ever listens to this.
I'm not. Your name is hideous, and your parents hate you. I not my fault.
Well,
And this
if
is
you
how we
were
found out there's a weirdly
translating
large Oberon
names-
fan base.
If you were translating names, Daniel translates to "God is my judge." You're not going to address it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I'm the first man. I sound like I'm related to the president.
You sound
Well,
right
then
here.
now we're
You
talking
got a
about
whole
names and
different
Yeah, I was just
meaning
gonna say
to
a little bit
my
more
my
than
name is protector or defender, so that it's
Mine's Lioness of God. You guys can call me that if you want.
Tony.
Don't.
I have no idea what my name means.
Oh,
Aw, Anthony, that's no fun. It's fine.
It is recording. Oh, it doesn't matter, apparently.
Oh, yeah, you can multitask with
Yes, I
this
can.
computer. So we're
Very
recording
fancy.
now. Yeah.
So,
We're
how about we
recording
get
Ariel
started?
do a Google search.
Yes.
It doesn't do the typing. It's just
Okay, so we're Google
Anthony
searching the name
means-
Anthony.
highly praiseworthy.
Ooh.
Oh, nice. Highly praiseworthy.
Well, highly praiseworthy. It's
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Or-
having known that previously
Greek.
takes
Tony-
away a little of the steam there.
It also
Yeah.
has a Greek association, and in that it means flower.
Oh, I'm a Greek flower.
mm,
Nice.
It's pretty.
All right.
Yeah.
So, our first topic. We hope you had a happy Thanksgiving, everyone, by the way.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Our first
opening
topic
flower. Aww.
is unusual. It's actually unraveling as we speak. There is currently a situation happening in California, in the city of San Bernardino, where 3 armed gunmen with AK-47s went to a facility that deals with people with disabilities and opened fire.
Specifically
there's-
mental disabilities, autism. And
Yeah.
the like.
There's at least 14 people killed, 17 people wounded, And 2 of these suspects are now dead. 1 of them is still on the loose.
Mm.
So,
It's crazy stuff.
yeah.
Well, it's becoming more and more common. I mean, it doesn't, at least personally, it doesn't surprise me anymore to wake up and hear some horrible, school church shooting, or it seems like they're happening every other month now.
Yeah, especially here in the U.S. It's like all the time. Over in Europe, you don't really hear it that much.
Well, actually, France
but it
might
does
disagree.
happen. Well, France,
but that's an
terrorist.
international terrorism incident. We're talking about homegrown morons.
Domestic idiots.
Yeah.
But again, you have some people from France in both French terrorism attacks.
Yeah, you can see, because they
but
were
it's for
French
ideological
citizens.
reasons.
Right,
or whatever.
yeah, right.
And
We don't know why these people
It's
did
not
it.
usually, in these cases,
Currently, we have
people
no
with a
idea why
history of
these people
mental
did it.
illness. It's people who
Yeah.
actually have an agenda and are doing this for
a political
Right
agenda.
now, we have no idea
Political,
why these
religious
people did
agenda.
it.
Well, it's an
Yeah, we
overarching
don't-
goal beyond
Yeah.
the immediate act,
Uh-huh.
which is lacking in a lot of these domestic things. Where do they go after that?
Mm-hmm.
What's the next step? So I don't know. With the international incidents, there is that overarching ideology that is the point. The attack itself are means to ends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is the means and the end.
Probably. Again, we don't know their agenda.
And that's the problem with this. It's just happened. We are barely finding out anything at all. We don't know who these people are. We know that one's dead. We don't know who this dead person is.
Yeah, we don't even have names yet. They have not been identified.
Right.
It's 2 to 3 shooters.
Now we know that it is 3.
Now we finally know that it is 3.
3 or more, they are saying. We have confirmed at least 3.
Their identity, their purpose remains unclear. So we can't really leap to conclusions here. It would be somewhat
It's too new,
rash.
too soon to find out.
Speaking
know
of leaping to
exactly everything.
conclusions, it says something about what's been happening lately. Our students. So again, 3 of us here are teachers. Our students today, when they found out, a whole bunch of them came to talk to us. These are people between 5th grade and 12th grade, although none of the seniors were here. So I guess it was 5th grade through sophomores. And we had multiple students coming up telling us about how ISIS was attacking the United States, ISIS was attacking California.
Which was, of course, how the news reached me through our dear Adam and Ariel. No sign of ISIS anywhere in California so far.
No.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so the state of affairs have gotten as such that school children hear, hey, bunch of people dead in California, they all immediately, ISIS, ISIS, ISIS.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, there's a problem with that.
There's many problems with that from many angles.
Well, I don't just mean in that they're wrong. I mean in the way that they're wrong, because there are so many. So if you were to say this about, like, I don't know, Dubai or something, then I'm gonna jump to things that are happening relevant to that region, but I just wonder why would they just jump to ISIS? There's so many of these shootings going on.
After the attacks in Paris, it's no longer in the Middle East region. It's in the Western sphere. It's in our cultural region.
Well, sure, but you're also talking about a land
attacks
bridge.
into ours.
The big defense that the United States has beyond, besides its military, is that we have a 3,000-mile wide ocean in between us. Mm-hmm. France doesn't have that. They have a landmass, but it's something that can be walked.
Well, see, a lot of our students are actively concerned about ISIS, and they have been for about a week now, since ISIS made its announcement shortly after Paris, where they said, we have 72 operatives within the United States waiting for our signal. We are getting ready to attack there, and so far 16 have signed up. I remember that very well because I was making fun of the fact that only 16 of the 72 signed up, and apparently ISIS sends people on missions via sign-up sheet.
Well, I'm not understanding that math. Is it 72 and then 16 more signed up, or
No. Out of those 72 committed ISIS operatives, 16 are okay with actually
Launching an
doing
attack in the
something
United
about
States.
it.
Oh, okay. So everybody else is ISIS in name only, huh?
That was
Oh,
my
yeah.
question. ISIS announcement. This is an ISIS
Right.
announcement.
Yeah, I think maybe a lot of the students need to, just learn, because, they're kids. So they hear someone say,
Sure.
blow up bomb, right? They immediately go to ISIS because ISIS
Yeah.
is huge in the news.
We've actually started up a current events class. The first day is tomorrow.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. Then you can, more educate the kids. Like, this is what ISIS. This is what they do. This is not ISIS.
Yes, they've got an
knowledge of
hour-long current
You
events
can
class
show
on
them.
Thursday.
Right.
Colorado, talk about Oregon. Was it Colorado where that crazy guy went into abortion clinics?
Planned
started shooting
Parenthood,
people?
yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, jumping to conclusions when these bases is somewhat problematic.
Yeah.
Odd that I talk about Spain, but
Mhm.
in Spain we actually had a acting government who was going to win the elections, lose them because they jumped to conclusions and jumped to politically motivated conclusions and blamed the terrorist attacks in the 11th of March in Spain on a local terrorist group when it was really a Muslim terrorist group. And so they were accused of being politically motivated in this and lying to the people, and they fell. So they sometimes has conclusions.
This is why-
There's consequences, rather.
This tends to be a reoccurring problem in the United States. We've got Colorado. We've got everything that happened before Colorado, going all the way back to Columbine and before that.
Mhm.
Why does this happen so often here and so rarely other places? It does happen other places. You've got the Norwegian shooter. You've got...
I'm sure that there are
Right.
things
Oh, yeah. I
that
remember that.
play a psychological part as far as you can probably say media and these other things, and to some degree that might have an effect, but I think it's pretty clear that a lack of regulation creates an accessibility that you don't see in any other country that is not actively engaged in a war does not have their citizenry doesn't have the access to weapons like we do. You can go buy that AR-15 or that AK-47, whatever it is. You can go to a gun show where you don't need to be a licensed dealer. You can have a felony. Doesn't matter. That guy's not going to background check you. And you can walk out with that gun.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the gun is. And we were talking about the Constitution. Well, when you get into the Second Amendment, it uses the phrase well-regulated militia.
Yep.
Very specifically,
right
it
to bear
says
arms
that.
as a member of a free and well-regulated militia.
So regulation is in the amendment, right? So
Also militia.
and well,
Not well
because
regulated,
those
yeah.
are two different words, and they both have significant, albeit different,
Yes.
impacts on the statement. Well regulated, right? Republicans are bed buddies with the NRA and whatever, but they, what was it, 90 some odd, 93, 94% of Americans were in favor of regulations with background
Oh,
checks.
yeah,
yeah.
But what did Congress do?
It was an overwhelming
Oh, yeah,
majority.
then Obama.
Not a damn thing.
Yeah.
Not a damn thing.
Yeah.
Congress didn't do shit.
Even that bill was going to have a universal concealed carry where if you go get a mental health check before purchasing a gun, you're able to carry it. And this was a bill Obama was pushing, and even the gun people were like, "What the heck?" And they should have.
Wait, I'm sorry. What are you saying?
Obama's gun bill, right? The one with the background checks. After you get your background check to purchase the firearm, two Republicans put it in the bill, right? Where you're able to get a concealed carry permit, a federal concealed carry permit. to proceed in the States.
That's how they kill bills like that, though, is because since they can add earmarks and this and that,
Mhm.
all you have to do is, if you don't like a bill that's you're a congressman, you don't like a
Yeah.
bill that they're going to try and put through, you just somehow get in there that rape's legal now, and it doesn't even have to relate to the initial topic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so it's.
And also why this bill didn't pass too. Who else was in bed with the NRA? Harry Reid.
Oh wow.
Harry Reid what state is he in? Nevada.
That sounds right.
Yeah, Harry Reid. He got government money a couple years before this bill to get government money to put together a gun range and stuff. And you see him with the guy president of the NRA. They're all shaking hands and shit. Crazy stuff.
Now, I don't really have a clear position on this, but just to make sure that the other position is fairly represented, the amendment doesn't really say that the right is to have a militia. It says that and I'm reading it here, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of the state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
That's a good note to end this. We can go on this all day. We're running out of time. On to topic number 2. All right, we're back with topic number 2.
Two.
No.
Two.
No.
Don't you usually have an effects guy for that? Who has
Tony
like
is
a
the
board
effects
with... Yeah, okay.
So, topic number 2. It has come to our attention, courtesy of the Spaniard in our midst, that there is Earth outside of the United States. There's more to our planet than just America. So, topic number 2, we're going to talk about... That's what I said. What?
There's more than just America?
So, topic number 2, we're going to talk about some of those other places. Topic number 2, not America.
Really quick, when I was overseas, I noticed nothing but American news all the time. Mostly over there, like in London and in the UK and in over there in Paris.
See? Even the rest of the world has trouble believing that there's something outside of America.
This is a coffee house podcast. So we have the Colombian coffee beans, we have the Arabica, we have the French roast.
You know that those places aren't grown in the countries that they're named after, right?
Is there
The thing is, no, we just discovered coffee for Europe, so we're fine. In any case, there is a world outside of here, and now we will actually talk about some of it.
Right, so
at least insofar as it's relevant to interests in the United States.
So the first one we're going to talk about is a couple days ago. That's what the second one. You're gonna
that's going to go longer.
I don't know what's going on.
Since that's going to go longer, we should start with this.
Oh, these are the short ones? Yes.
You all are going to go on interminably with Russia and Turkey. So I beg of you to start with South America. So
Well, then Alvaro takes that one.
there are countries that have democracies south of here.
Bullshit.
Yeah, no, seriously. So Argentina recently had elections. And for quite a while now...
Argentina, that's the one the girl doesn't cry for. Or she
Don't cry for me, Argentina.
The girl, that's a woman.
Madonna.
Her name is Evita. Come on, keep up with your own references.
This is a high school musical. She was like 14. What?
Evita was 14.
When we did it in high school, yes.
Well, but this is surprisingly relevant. So the person who was in charge when she was not crying for Argentina was Perón. And Perón started this huge political movement, which is really eclectic and really weird in Argentina, because you had the extreme right and the extreme left kind of living together in this weird family. And they're extremely populist, and they're the ones who have been recently, well, not recently, a while back, took back power. And the government in Argentina up to this point was Peronista. And there you had Cristina Fernández de Kirchner, who was the wife of the previous president, and now had finished her term. Now, Daniel Scully, with the Victory Front, which is the Peronista party, was set to win. They weren't even going to have to go to the second round of the elections. They were going to have an absolute victory, and they didn't. Said, okay, we're going to have to wait till the second round and then win. And they didn't. Mauricio Macri, a center-right party called Cambiemos, Let Us Change, won the elections by a very small margin. Here it says it's 51.4% to 48.6%.
Wow.
A very, very small margin. And yet, he has just won the national elections in Argentina, and it's a presidentialist democracy, kind of like the United States, so the president does have a huge amount of influence on how the country goes. Among other things, and here's where it gets relevant to the United States, he is assured that he is going to change his foreign policy alignment. And from being close to Venezuela and Iran, he is now going to be more friendly to the United States. Say, we would rather have the United States as our ally than the Ayatollahs and Maduro.
I really like Venezuela.
Okay. Let's talk about Venezuela. Then.
Albert doesn't give it a
Well,
crack
actually,
at him.
I'm curious about one thing here because, well, two things actually. Admittedly, I don't know much about Argentinian politics or much of the political relationship with them as it is. Two things. One, so when we in America hear that Mexico has elected a new president, guffaw. That's just some guy. There's a bunch of corrupt bullshit in the background that runs the show. This guy's a face. And
kind of like in the United States.
Yeah. But the corruption in Mexican politics seems...
It's big.
Yeah, right.
It's not negligible.
So my first question would be how legitimate is the election process? Just as a general curiosity. But then what do they export to America? Because we very rarely want to get into relationships where we don't benefit. We're very
we're American businesses, and
right.
people don't benefit.
So I'm just wondering,
businesses.
like, how legit? Because you hear a lot about Hugo Chavez had won and clearly ran the whole election himself. It wasn't a real.
Well, in
sort
both
of
cases,
process.
you do have foreign observers. The problem with Venezuela's elections is not so much how the election proper, yes, which is Venezuela, how the election proper is handled, but how the press is handled. Chavez had a lot of effort put into controlling the press and silencing all opposition voices. And so you can't really have free elections unless you have an informed electorate, and you could not have that in Venezuela.
Right.
Argentina started going down that path. Cristina Fernández de Kirchner really did want to muzzle the press and was really hard on any news group that was against her. Which is, again, why it's so surprising that this guy won. He is an opposition party, so obviously he did not have the power to push the elections his way. Right. And the majority of the big press outlets, big news outlets, were not favorable to him. Not especially, at least.
Well, one of the big reasons a lot of them were unfavorable towards him is so Argentina has the second largest economy in South America. Argentina is...
Which would answer your second question.
Which answers the second question, right.
Hugely important.
I don't know the details of what they import to us, but what they export to us...
I haven't the slightest clue either.
Yeah, right. but they're the second largest economy in South America, and they've been keeping a lot of it to themselves. They've been very, very insular with their economy, with their products and things like that. And both of the candidates who were running were saying that they wanted to increase trade, open up the economy to other countries. The guy who lost, what's his name? Starts with an S. Daniel
Scioli. It's an Italian name because a lot of Argentinians are of Italian descent, and I have a hard time with it. So Daniel Scioli.
How about
Daniel
Germans
Scioli.
too, right?
Oh yeah,
Daniel Scioli wanted to open up the economy, but very, very slowly.
Shame on you, sir.
Low blow.
Way too
low
soon.
blow.
Way too soon.
But he wanted to open up the economy. He wanted to do it slowly and measured and gradually. The guy who actually won, he wanted to do it almost immediately. He just wanted to open the economy.
Oh yeah, he is an economic liberal in the sense that it's used everywhere except here. Here you use liberal as leftist. Everywhere else they use liberal as classic liberal in the sense of the free economy, free market, and all these things. So
laissez-faire.
When we say liberal, we usually are referring to domestic policy.
There it is.
Right.
There it is, and social policy. And
right.
like
Exactly.
So he is an economic liberal. So he wants the Argentinian economy to be completely open as soon as possible.
That sounds crazy.
Which is part of the reason the media was so much against it.
Can't handle that sort of shock. That sounds like a
he understands this, so he's not as ambitious. At least he didn't show himself to be as ambitious as all that at first. But he does have the example of Chile Sebastián Piñera, who went just tremendous inroads into that direction in Chile. Now it's the socialist government of Bachelet, so going back from that. But so it is at least possible to a degree, and can have some positive fruits. So he's using that, I think, as as an objective, as an example of what can be done.
Yeah. An idea of how to think about this is how, you know how it's such a big deal when you have a Republican president of the United States, then a Republican president, then a Republican president, then a Republican president, and finally the Democrats win. They're like, oh, the country's changing direction, it's turning around after a big thing.
Exactly.
For the past 12 years, they've had a president who's been running certain things. It starts with a K.
Kirchner. It's first the husband and then the wife.
Yeah. And so for 12 years...
passed to his wife?
Well, she won elections. She had a role in government, and then after he died, she presented herself to the election.
election.
So she was Hillary
So it's
Clinton.
not it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
but immediately after,
Right.
no Bush interregnum.
But so it's been one set of policies, one party, one ideology for 12 years. Daniel Scioli? Scioli?
Yeah.
He was a continuation of that policy. He lost. So the new guy is an about-face against what has been the status quo for 12 years.
And this means a great deal, as he's saying. This is a government that's been prone to expropriations and things like this. And it's also even more relevant, a huge reorientation in foreign policy of, as the second economy in South America.
Right.
And a reorientation away from Venezuela. And Venezuela itself is also about to go into an electoral process. The elections are
What's
going
happening
to
in
be,
Venezuela?
they're very soon. I'm blanking on the actual date right now. But things are not going that way in spite of the control of the media for Nicolás Maduro, who is the successor to Chavez.
Right.
Now, the opposition has been having a very bad time of it. There have been assassinations of opposition leaders. The current leader of the opposition is incarcerated. His wife is leading the charge, and she was present to the murder of one of her comrades. And they're saying that they think there is a clear and present danger that Nicolás Maduro will use the militia that was created by Cesar Chavez. So Cesar Chavez was a wonderful man, a man worthy of our admiration, a man I deeply love.
As far as
Except
we know,
for his
he had no...
that he sent to Venezuela.
And who did not have a militia of Mexican farm workers. Hugo Chavez.
An armed and well-regulated militia of farm workers.
Right.
Who are bearing arms.
Oh, I
We're going to
deeply
give me
apologize
Argentina
to all
and
all of the people who work in his farm workers movements, and I do protest. I deeply admire the man, which is why his name is in my head. Hugo Chavez.
They all hate you now.
Formed. Oh God.
Guilt's too much.
I know so many of them. Hugo Chavez made a militia in order to bolster his power. And Hugo Chavez himself had already tried a coup d'etat. He is an army man, and he tried a coup, failed, and then came back and won elections. So his movement is not a stranger to violent attempts to reach power. And the opposition just terribly fears that Maduro will avail himself of that militia in order to retain. So things in South America are heating up.
Wow.
And again, that one's important to us because...
It's Cesar Chavez for crying out loud.
That's important to us because, I mean, if he does that, we already have a huge, political softball being thrown around about what to do with economic immigrants.
Yep.
What he's talking about are going to be war refugees.
Like Syria.
Which are, yes. And, I mean, I think that insofar as it affects American media, if the militia is used and people are fleeing the country, if that exodus of sorts ends up here, you're going to hear a lot of racist shit on the TV.
Well,
there's
also
going to be a lot of anti-immigrant, anti-poor, but
which
more
we're already
so.
hearing.
Well,
Yeah,
I would
in
imagine
Syria.
it would just be ramped up, though. I mean, you're
Well, please God, it doesn't get to that point. The idea of coups is that it's just at the very top. So it would have to go from a coup to a civil war, and then we'd have the displacement. I really don't envision this happening, and I hope to God it doesn't.
Well, again,
But in any case, it's going to be a huge realignment of things in South America
There we
with
go.
a country that has been a pebble in the shoe of the United States.
And so, assuming that it doesn't go to civil war, that it is either a fair election or a coup, someone is going to be in charge of the country. And that is relevant to the United States because Venezuela is a member of OPEC. All right, here for topic number 3, once again for our second week in a row, after Tony's suggestion after his journey into Europe, the Dark Continent.
Yes.
We're going to be doing another lightning round.
it's better than the white
going
continent.
Going over. Wait, but that's more
But accurate. But accurate.
We're going to be going over several news stories very, very quickly. Because none of them quite warranted a full topic, but some of them should actually be mentioned. Not all of them. Such as Kim Jong-un's aunt and uncle. Did anyone hear about this?
No.
So Kim Jong-un, leader of North Korea, his aunt and uncle have sued the defectors from North Korea. They have filed a lawsuit against North Korean defectors for insulting them. For
Defamation of character, man.
That is beautiful.
I love it.
Wow.
You go.
Several people who have defected from North Korea have reported that Kim Jong-un's aunt recently underwent plastic surgery. That's the insult.
Okay, so when you are thank you. When you're suing as a government an individual who's probably not in that country anymore, where does that lawsuit go?
First of all, is it by the government or is it them as individuals?
It's
suing
just
them
Kim
for
Jong-un's
defamation?
aunt and uncle.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, who actually?
Who's going to oversee
Well,
this?
they'll
Like
probably-
what specific judge
Right.
has to see that case?
they'll probably win in North Korea, and that's it.
Well, they're going to win in North Korea because the defendant can't show up.
Yeah, exactly.
And
And because North Korea.
Yeah, exactly.
But if there's a South Korean judge who has to see this case, assuming they defected to South Korea,
Right.
how's that going to play out?
I want to see the former South Korean, the defector, right? See them come back, and I see how stupid they are to come back to the country. I think that'd be pretty interesting to see how many stupid people are coming back into North Korea to fight this case.
I don't think they will.
Yeah.
You have to provide
I
an
know.
incentive. There got to be like coffee and donuts at the
But it would be pretty funny if there was one stupid defector who goes back.
I don't think that exists.
All right.
I'll fight.
All right, next topic.
I got a subpoena.
I was supposed to follow it.
Right.
You guys mailed me this letter. I don't know.
Next topic. So, this one keeps confusing me because the headline seems to be the cardiac killer. The actual topic is they just did a poll, and as of right now, Bernie Sanders is winning everyone.
They
is
call that
winning
the cardiac
everyone
killer.
Bernie Sanders is 49-41, his win against Trump. 44-43, his win against Rubio. 49-39, his win against Cruz. 47-41, his win against Carson.
What's his win
50
against Hillary, though?
By 12 points. He's beating Hillary by 12 points.
For real?
As of right now, Bernie
Wow.
Sanders, his net approval ratings are significant above everyone else. And,
Okay, sorry, I can't help it. I always do this. What poll? And is this a
Yeah.
scientific poll or is this just a random
It
internet
is a
thing?
This one, it is a scientific poll.
It is.
It is done by a university.
What university?
Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac
Alvaro looks
University.
disapproving.
Never.
I thought it looked intrigued. What methods did they use?
I don't think he has the answer to that.
You were going to bring it here. You knew I was going to ask this question.
I only printed the first page of the article because it was for the quick.
I wrote down the
lightning
URL.
round.
I'm going to look later. I'll post
fine.
any background information.
Yeah.
Next stop.
I was actually concerned. My grandparents, huge Democrats, progressives,
Yeah.
And they were asking me, what do you think of Bernie Sanders? And I said, I'd vote for him if I thought he was going to win. It seemed, not even just a couple of months ago, it seemed like
People were
the guy would
laughing at
be
him.
great. Well, I never saw anybody, laughing at him, but it just seemed like he was kind of, he was like a niche candidate, and it kind of seemed like voting for him would be like a moral victory, but throwing away a vote.
Yeah.
But if that's true, and he's really got
voting for him in the primaries, between him and O'Malley? I don't see it throwing away a vote in the primaries.
He also won 59% to 28% to his nearest competitor in the most honest category.
Yeah, I believe
Yeah,
that.
he's honest. Yeah.
That's...
If he said one thing,
Well, he
that is
appears.
true. I mean,
He said a thing.
He said
If you
everything.
vote for who you deem the most honest. There's not who is the most honest, who you think is.
Hillary didn't win that?
No. Neither did,
Oh yeah,
neither did Carson.
Hillary and Trump
North
are like so close in the who's telling the biggest lies.
Yeah.
They're
This
both pretty
Trump
close.
train's got to end soon.
Is braggadocious in this?
Well, there you go. That
Yeah.
actually is the next topic. The very
His
next one. The next one.
dictatorous douchiness.
The very next topic we have, Donald Trump. He's been
He's
getting a lot of
braggadocious.
flack lately because he's been saying that he saw a bunch of Muslims cheering and things like that after 9/11.
He said
Right.
he said thousands.
Right.
And everyone's been saying that didn't happen. The chief of police of Jersey City has just come out in his defense saying, I was there. There were many, many, many Muslims all over the place cheering when this happened.
Now, okay, so here's why that's not real.
It's not 1,000.
The 9/11 attacks, they were coordinated, but they were coordinated amongst the people fucking involved. The Muslim world at large was not in on the attack.
Well, but he's not saying they were in on it. He was saying that they celebrated.
Well, but when the planes hit, they have no reason to think, those are Muslims doing this. They have no reason to think that
That's
unless
true.
they knew beforehand.
Right, but it's after it's found out.
But no, he's saying they cheered in the streets when the towers were
Well,
coming
but
down.
the thing is, I remember seeing news reports about this. Now, whether they're
There weren't thousands.
verifiable or not, I don't know. But certainly, I did see
It's about
on the news
10 to
reports
20.
of people on the streets
Yeah.
celebrating the fall of the Great Satan.
Mhm.
Now, really, whether this is representative of the general population or just a couple of people who
It's just
said yay, I don't
it's just
know.
extremists. That's just a couple of extremists.
Well,
That's
but
it.
you know,
Well, by definition,
I know
Like, thousands of votes.
I know.
But regardless, this is giving Trump a boost in the polls again.
Oh yeah.
Well, Jesus
The thing is, when we talk about
saying that
a
Mexicans
small-
are rapists gave him a boost in the
Oh,
polls
yeah.
too.
Yes, it did.
What the hell?
Anything he says gives him a boost in the polls.
That's
As long as it's
the
a
one
Mexican.
time he went down was when he just stopped talking.
Yeah. The
He
only
didn't
time
say
his polls took
anything.
a dip is when he didn't say anything.
He couldn't answer their actual
You know what's
questions. So
interesting?
then
I don't know if
he
you heard
lost
about
points.
this, but they actually broke down the language patterns of the Republican candidates.
Did they really?
Do you know who
Interesting.
uses the most complex speech pattern? Meaning,
Do you have
know,
a tidbit yet?
do I have a what?
Tidbit for the end?
I don't know what that
Was
is.
This should be your tidbit.
Oh,
Tony, edit that part out. This is his tidbit.
oh.
There you
okay.
go. Tell us.
Tell us after at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, next topic.
Oh, no.
I am too. I really wanted to hear that. But we will. We
So do I.
will.
It sounds good, which is why it's perfect for a tidbit.
Yeah,
Next
but-
topic, because we're a coffee house podcast. They just released a big soul.
A big soul.
They just released a big poll.
Oh,
Coffee
Big topic.
has been
repeat
linked
that,
to a
repeat that so that he can just edit this weird interlude out.
since we are a coffee house podcast, speaking of coffee, they have just released a large study that was done on diseases and other such things, and they have announced that coffee has been significantly linked to a lower risk of dying prematurely, which is not actually a category that they even have. It lowered risk of dying from heart disease and stroke and Alzheimer's and every single thing on the list. They made a new category for it, saying dying prematurely.
Coffee reduces the risk of Alzheimer's?
Yeah.
I'm going to start drinking coffee like crazy. That runs in my
I drink about 4 cups a day.
So coffee, it's the same as water. It's the same as anything else. Today it's great for you. Tomorrow it's terrible for you.
Actually, they do point out it doesn't help against cancer.
Oh well,
it helps everything but cancer.
Speeds it up.
That's okay. I was reading an article today actually where they were talking about coffee specifically and about the bouncing back and forth. Is it good for you? Is it not? And here's all the things it does. And to quote the article, it's fucking coffee, not angel tears. It doesn't cure that shit. It doesn't prevent it.
I would like to argue.
That's crazy.
Coffee is basically angel tears.
There you go.
In bean form?
Yeah. Angels cry beans.
Okay, when you guys actually make your coffee house, your first special, your house special will be named
Angel Tears.
Right.
So you know.
Motion.
All right. Two left. Last two. You know how here in Monterey they were just talking not too long ago doing the whole sit-lie law where you're not allowed to sit or lie in downtown Monterey. This is aimed against the homeless people, saying you can't have the homeless people lying around.
Yeah.
I thought it was against those really annoying people who were doing yoga in front of Colton Hall.
No, it's aimed at the homeless.
All right,
and a lot of other cities have been doing it.
Well,
quite a few states have been doing it.
That's kind of a...
The federal government has just announced that it is officially unconstitutional to ban the homeless from sleeping outside.
All right, so my particular take on the topic, I will admit, is biased because my girlfriend is the manager of a coffee shop downtown. They recently had to put a huge chain link fence around the courtyard because the homeless
Oh, I saw that. Is that why?
Yeah. The reason for that is the police had to be called to that location constantly. I personally... There's a homeless kid that walks around that area. I won't describe him to you here, but...
Isn't that what I know? We both know? Yeah.
He
threatened to stab my mother.
Right. Oh, yes. No, he threatened to stab his mother. He tried to get into a fist fight with my girlfriend. The moment I said something to him, he didn't want to actually fight. But the point is that there was one day where he was like blocking old women from being able to get in, trying to get them to buy him coffee, and if they refused, he would block their way. We get going through downtown Monterey so many of these traveling kids, and the problem is it sits between the transit center, it's a transit center, and then there's an AA building right there. And
the hostel.
And the hostel is right there.
Good thing Paul Ryan is leading a crusade for
Right.
mental health.
So no, they
this is
shouldn't
good.
they shouldn't be they shouldn't just create legislation that essentially makes it illegal to be homeless. That's really fucked up. But
And this is not saying that the cops can't move people from certain areas. They are still allowed to say, you can't be here, this is not the place for you, go somewhere else. You can no longer be arrested for sleeping outside.
there's nothing about being homeless itself that makes you good, bad, or anything of the sort. But it certainly seems like at least the people that are among the homeless population here, and there are some really chill homeless guys here. You know, and I think they get a bad rap because of all of the other. I was on Alvarado one day. These traveling kids were sitting down on a bench. I'm walking past having a cigarette, and one of them asked me for a smoke. And I very honestly told him I had just thrown the box away, like 40 feet beforehand, because I was out. And the first thing he did when I told him I didn't have any was he jumped up off the bench and wanted to fight, simply because I didn't have a cigarette for him. So
I've got that from the guy who hangs out next to Pizza for coffee.
Yeah.
I bought him a coffee, but it wasn't the coffee he wanted. So he came after me while yelling.
So, I mean, on one hand,
It's mental health.
Right. It's really messed up to try and make being homeless illegal, but on the other hand, like there is a situation that's sort of evolved downtown that makes it understandable when people want some sort of action about it.
Exactly. So you have this problem of people with evident mental problems who need attention. But is this really the way to do it?
Right.
This really reminds me of a law that recently was passed, I think it was just last year, in Valladolid, which is a city, a provincial capital to the center-north of Spain, where they made it they would give a fine for people who were sleeping on the street if, and only if, they didn't have a home to sleep in. Which is to say, only if they had no alternative.
Mm-hmm.
So
this
if
is
I have a home.
horrible idea.
Right, yeah.
You are finding people because they have no choice but to do what they're doing.
Right.
So, laws against the homeless might be immediate reactions to a problem. Because what's happening at your girlfriend's coffee shop is a problem. What's happening in Monterey is a problem. But finding homeless people or punishing homeless people for being homeless is not a solution to that problem.
It's that gut reaction I was telling you about that's rooted in, I mean, we're a very, very violent, angry people, but we're also very easily scared. And it's that combination of fear and anger that makes us, address issues in really bizarre and oftentimes harmful ways.
So perhaps we could take a cue from the old philosophers and ask, what is homelessness? Why is homelessness? What are the root causes of homelessness? How the hell can we actually address this in a meaningful way?
Or rather than that, what Tony?
Oh well, we could start by having the homeless people not get imported into our state, like Nevada was taking the
Arizona.
It was Arizona was taking the crazy, the people who should be in a mental institution, right? Loading them up on a bus and shipping them to California.
To San Francisco.
Yeah, to San Francisco.
Greyhound therapy, they called it.
Yes.
San Francisco.
Is that
exactly?
Are you serious?
That's the thing.
Yeah, San Francisco sued the state of Arizona.
Yeah, because
Arizona was rounding up all of its mentally unstable homeless people and shipping them to San Francisco.
We're gonna get into a war with Arizona where we're just lobbying the homeless.
That's why we have militias, Daniel. That's why we have a well-regulated militia.
You have flipped me, sir. Now I'm pro-guns. The flying homeless convinced me.
Homeless bazookas?
All right, very last topic. Very last one of these. The FDA was recently testing a drug called metformin. Metformin. And the aim of this drug was to help with diabetes. And they got a whole bunch of very, very unexpected results back and have now given the go-ahead to do a whole nother series of tests because the first round aimed at curing diabetes seems to have indicated that this drug will allow humans to live to be 120 years old.
Nice.
By slowing down the aging process and helping with Alzheimer's and increasing lifespan and heart disease and cancer mortality and stroke and a whole bunch of these other things caused by aging.
I don't believe you.
No,
They're
it's a
saying
bunch
this
of
can slow it down. And with a quality of life that when you reach the age 70, you will be as fit as an average 50-year-old.
All right. So
So
there is
steroids.
The
There is no
FDA is
magic.
opening a brand new study into this.
There is no magic pill, for one. For two, so they can, I don't know if you knew this, they can create a scaffolding now which they can grow your lungs, they can swab your mouth, get your cells, they can actually bust that down back to a stem cell and turn it into whatever they want. They can grow your lungs, and if you need a lung transplant, boom, you got your own lungs in there.
So
again.
adult stem cells meaning no more controversy.
Right, exactly.
Awesome.
That's what's so awesome about it is that they
That
can
really
revert
is
cells
awesome.
back down to stem cells without having to resort to fetal tissue.
And probably you'd have less risk of tumor formations with that.
Oh, because it's your own stuff. Yeah,
As
sure.
opposed to someone else's. As opposed to a transplant.
Now, if you're to take that on its face and you say, well, my God, if I was rich, I need a new liver. Let's pop a new buddy in there. I need a new heart. I need a new this. I'm going to live forever. Except for cellular decay.
Oh,
Your cells themselves break down, and they cannot, presently at least, rectify that. So
That is what saying this is. They are saying this is a thing that seems to slow cellular decay.
Slowing down. Okay, so
They're saying significantly slow cellular decay.
Okay.
Again, not eternal life, but living a new average about 120.
right,
what,
but
like extending the telomeres at the end of cell? Well, I don't understand.
your
how
body
this-
works the way it does for a reason, and if you slowing down your okay, so when you talk about slowing down cellular decay, I can't help but think that what you're actually talking about is slowing down any involved cellular process. You can't pick and choose.
Which, by the way, is a good thing. The
That-
reason that cells decay is because they put an end to the life of any particular cell, so that they don't eventually just start dividing without any control and become cancer cells. So it is a way to protect us from
But your
cancer.
but your body
So regulating both
naturally
things
has
is-
a process for that. If you start name a time when we've artificially manipulated a process as complex as the death of a human cell, and this resulted in something good. This is I can only imagine that the long-term effects of that drug are going to be horrible. Horrible.
I have an extra layer to add on to this. So regarding this drug in particular,
Thank you.
and there's a couple other things that are actually on the market right now where they say if this works, it will be able to extend the lifespan significantly. There's a number of things. This is just the most recent one making the news right now. They are all ridiculously expensive.
Of course they are.
So if they do work, if they are real, if this is a means of extending your life by a great margin, that means we will be living in a society where the filthy, stinking rich get to live for very, very long lives while the poor die rapidly.
Please, this has been a dystopia advanced by author after author for very, very ever
Ayn
since
Rand,
Darwin.
or what's her name?
Ayn Rand,
Ayn
she's a
Rand.
horrible human being who
Yes,
I will not
she
mention
is.
ever again. Okay, so they've been talking about how because evolution works as it does, the rich will eventually evolve in one way and the poor will evolve in another, and you will have two different species. This is ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's not
now
going
we
to
have
work.
an actual
It'll never
means of
be
it
a
happening.
thing.
If this exists, if any of these work, poor people cannot get it.
well,
They're
that's
rich.
But
well,
it doesn't.
that's well,
You'll
that's
just have a
okay.
bunch of rich people getting tumors
So-
and dying anyways.
So
It's-
two things happen when they come out with the technology. Initially, it's large and it's expensive. Everything gets smaller and cheaper. Everything. Prostitutes
Small,
should
cheap
not
prostitutes.
get smaller.
Yeah. Wow.
disagree with everything you've just said.
Cheaper
Yeah.
is.
I disagree with you both.
So to say that okay, when you say the poor, I mean the poor and the middle class are dramatically different. It's not inconceivable to me that eventually the middle class would be able to afford whatever given technology comes out. Eventually, they would have access to it. But your body, there's a reason that medication makes you react one way and makes me react another way. There is nothing that works for everybody. And to say that this is going to give, I don't know, you're messing with the cellular structure and it cannot work for everyone regardless of your
miracle drugs
economic
aren't real,
status.
Daniel?
What's that?
Miracle drugs aren't real?
It depends on how you define a miracle.
Like magic.
Oh, there are magic drugs. You just don't do what you're looking for.
You opened yourself up right up.
All right,
Right up, yeah. That's good.
All right, we will talk about all of these again when they become pressing
Reality.
issues.
Relevant.
So
Yeah.
never.
All of
We
these,
will
all of
never
these
speak of
topics.
this again, ever.
All of these topics.
All right.
All right. On to tidbits. So, all right, here we are on tidbits. Very first tidbit, Anthony DeFranco.
Okay, first tidbit. Wait, we're calling them tidbits? I thought they were like coffee
Yeah, Adam, I
beans
thought
or...
that was
They are, but
something that
Ariel
somebody else
introduces the coffee beans, and I say, okay, she's introduced the beans. now
Okay,
we're on to
the
number one.
tidbits and coffee. They're
They're
the
not
same
tidbits,
thing.
they're coffee beans. But Ariel
Coffee
says that, not
beans.
me.
Okay, so I was watching TV today, and I heard the most well, this didn't surprise me. I mean, it came out of the mouth of Donald Trump, but what was the latest thing he said today? It's kind of confusing because he usually says random shit all the time, which sounds very stupid and dictatorish. Oh yes, I remember what he said today on Fox News. He said that it was okay. He believed that it was okay to go and kill the family members of people who are in ISIS.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it's like, what did the family do? You know, just thinking about it. It's the brother or the father or whoever of the kids, you know, whose parents are in ISIS, or you know, it could be even the kid who's in ISIS. I understand if the kid's in ISIS, yeah, you know.
This is his solution how to deal with ISIS.
Yeah, so his idea was to deal with ISIS was to kill the family members. So, it's like, whoa, I can see if the family was an active members of ISIS, yeah, you know, but the thing is...
But then you're killing them because they're active members of ISIS, not because
they're related.
Otherwise you
Guilt by association.
Yeah, but the thing is, if it's only one person who is part of ISIS, what did the family do?
Well, and where do you draw the line? How much family is enough dead family?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You know where I draw the line?
Yeah, he said all of so it could be family here in the U.S.
Trump, I draw the line and do not cross into the realm of listening to that with any sense of seriousness.
Right.
Yeah, it could be like the non-terrorist who happens to be like me and you.
That's exactly what he's saying.
Yeah, pretty much
he's saying you should go after
non-terrorists like me and you.
Civilian family members to deter them from becoming terrorists in the first place.
So Joe Smo, whatever his name is, goes into a coffee shop and all of a sudden Trump hires people to kill him because his brother or distant cousin...
Trump hiring people to kill one coffee
because his distant cousin happens to be part of ISIS.
We have a strict policy of no killing any customers
in the coffee shop.
In the coffee shop. So you come
outside
the coffee shop.
Because if you walk into our coffee shop with the intent of killing one of our patrons, we will shoot you in the face.
And also,
guaranteed, if you come to the A&A Coffeehouse, we will protect you from Donald Trump.
Please don't hold us responsible for anything that happens that doesn't follow that.
Guaranteed, if you come to this coffee house, none of these people are capable of protecting you.
I don't know. Apparently, I'm kind of a badass.
Yeah, that's
Tony has fun.
myself included. He doesn't have it with him. You bring it to the coffee shop?
No.
See, he's useless.
Because we're on school property and it happens to be illegal now.
Now. It's only recently become legal in Crazy.
No, soon it will become legal.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Oh, here?
Yeah. Didn't you hear? This is another topic really quick, but really fast. California, the Senate... the state senate passed a law where if you're a concealed carry permit holder, you cannot bring a firearm on school property.
Was it ever a law that you could in California?
There was no law.
Oh, that's what it is.
That's what it was. But the thing is, with concealed carry permit people, you have to go through a psych exam and everything else to get that permit. It depends on the county.
Well, and the problem with those, it wasn't written down anywhere, is the only thing that prompts them to write it down is somebody fucking does it.
Yeah.
And that's
a couple people did, but they never had that. For example,
yes, I was just thinking that
a couple teachers.
We all know someone who brought a shotgun to Monterey High.
Yeah, we do. We won't mention their name though. But anyways, so how so? No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
But really quick, there was a couple circumstances. I know we're running out of time, but really quick. This is an extra tidbit here.
Like
there was a shooting on a school campus. I heard, and the teacher actually had his gun in his car off campus because of the school policy. Ran and got the gun off from his car and onto the premises to stop the bad guy. That's like one of the things. Yeah, he got fired for it, but he saved the day.
Yeah.
I think that's worth it.
Your topic.
My tidbit. So, I was listening to the radio and they were talking about a study done. You can look it up. I don't recall who the study was done by right now.
That doesn't matter. These are just coffee beans.
But they were looking at the speech patterns of Republican candidates. Now, this doesn't reflect the complexity of their message or even how much they understand their own message. It merely addresses the complexity of their speaking patterns. So, who other Republican candidates has the most complex speaking pattern?
Be Ben Carson. Isn't he like
I was going to say,
complex?
it'd be one of the...
Ted Cruz uses the most compound sentences and the most compound words.
I was going to say, it would either be Cruz or Rubio, if you ask me.
Trump is on
I
the
would've said
opposite
Rubio.
end, uses
Those are the
the
two who-
shortest sentences
Mhm.
and the shortest words. Now, if you actually think about that for a second, when you are conveying a political message of any kind, and with what you're talking about in Argentina and and even with Russia and very much so in the United States as well, getting people panicked is the most efficient way to. It's not the ethically best, clearly, but it's the most
Right.
efficient way to get your message out and get people what you might consider caring about it. Well, the most effective way of doing that are short, concise sentences.
Mhm.
So there is a correlation between Donald Trump's success and his short sentences.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Makes it a little less scary. It's not people necessarily listening to what he's saying. It's just he puts it in a way that they can listen to it.
Right. It's like a lot of our, I don't remember the exact phrasing of it, but there's essentially a phrase: if you haven't captured the American audience in 30 seconds, you won't get them back.
Right.
Which is in itself mildly frightening.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I'm tremendously horrified at the fact that I am now going to come out in a position which may be taken as a defense of Donald Trump. I will flagellate myself today. I will literally whip myself until blood comes out my back for this. But I do not see any particular merit in using long words when short words will do. When you hide yourself in long words, you're just trying to make it so that more simple people won't understand. If
But
you say
there's an
the United
assumption.
States, in its foreign policy, has a tendency to sometimes give support to certain factions, which will then, after a long prolonged conflict, come out on the side which will not be in the control of the situation on the ground. That's one way to say it. Another way to say it is the United States has a tendency to pick losers.
Right.
One of those two ways is intelligible.
Though, no, that's not true at all.
So one thing is the ability to use language. Another thing is the putting in high value of big words as a value in and of themselves. We need to talk about the substance and not about the way that the substance is.
Well, that's where I would have to
communicated.
I would have to disagree with that assessment for the sole reason that I tend to use compound words all the time, and I think that educated people tend to speak in a more complex manner naturally. I don't think that just because Ted Cruz uses compound sentences and compound words, I don't think that's an attempt to hide behind them necessarily. It could very simply be the way the man talks.
Absolutely.
But
then again, the virtue is explaining the same difficult concepts to people who do not have the custom of using these words.
The other
so if
problem
someone is a jurist, he will probably be very comfortable using juridical words, which are sometimes complicated. Someone is an economist, he will be very comfortable using economic terms,
You're referring to
which are
jargon.
sometimes complicated. Pardon me?
You're referring to jargon.
Exactly.
Right.
But with education in general, there's a tendency to take on more complex words for simple concepts. Now, what I think is virtuous is being able to explain these same concepts in simple terms to people who do not have access to the same amount of education.
Well, sure. Okay, so that's I believe it was Einstein that I couldn't quote it verbatim, but it essentially says if you can't explain your idea to a child, then you don't understand it.
Ah, there he is.
Right?
I like that.
But so when he says that, I can explain to a child the theory about how their air conditioner works, but to turn around and actually talk to them about the scientific processes behind it, you have to get into that jargon that you were referring to. So it's and so what you're talking about there is a degree of accuracy. And this is gonna come out way more generalized than I intended, but when you are using larger words, assuming that you know how to use them, and that the intent isn't to verbally bully the other party, when you're using those larger words, you are typically much more accurate in what you're saying. When you have to break it down to concise sentences with very, very small words, you can get across general concepts, but to discuss with any sort of specificity, that's not gonna. I don't see that happening well with short ones.
All right, great debate. Alvaro, your topic.
We're gonna argue about everything. I like it.
We do. It's so much fun. In fact, I wanted to keep going, but it seems we had a problem with time. So, 1987. This is the time of the Iran-Contra scandal. The Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant are tingling WrestleMania 3. But Bernie Sanders is just starting in Burlington, Vermont, as a mayor. Now, this is an article by the Rolling Stone, and this is very Rolling Stone-ish. Did you know that as the mayor of Burlington, Vermont, Bernie Sanders actually participated in a folk album?
What?
This is true. You see, there was a local recording studio. This local recording studio had as most recording studios have had trouble maintaining itself afloat, so they just took on every single project that just came their way. One of them was Bernie Sanders, who got all of these different singers to go with him to make this album. The thing is, it sold 1,000 albums. For a local album, that's a lot. Just in the immediate surroundings of Burlington, for $10 a pop, that's $10,000. A good part of which would go to Bernie Sanders. Thing is, the Lockwood Company donated the last of the cassettes to his campaign when he ran to Congress. Now it has none of them, but some of them are appearing on eBay as a collector's item. The thing is, in 87, they guaranteed that if this album ever turned a profit, they would finally give him royalties. He said he'd just give it to charities and the like, but he never actually made any royalties at the time. But that is going to change now. A remastered edition of this album. A remastered edition of this album has come out this year.
Nice.
And he is guaranteed that he's going to at least double the original series, meaning at least 2,000. In addition to more digital downloads. And he says that, the original letter agreement is now come into effect again, and will eventually, Lockwood says, receive some royalties. And, it's not going to be huge. But, says Rolling Stone, Sanders, as king of small donations, will tell you, every penny counts.
Oh my god.
I want that.
That's
I want to listen to that album.
I like the concept, but honestly, I don't want to hear Bernie Sanders sing.
I do. At least once.
It's like the singing politician.
Well, but the thing is, it wasn't just Bernie Sanders. This is like the idea that you get a bunch of people together for a charity thing.
Sure.
So you get it says 30 artists in all, says Rolling Stones, like Nancy Bevins, John Gallimore, and the future state senator Dick McCormick.
So there's a whole plethora of singers.
Oh yeah, you can hear Dick McCormick. Just hear his groove.
Right.
Yeah.
We should get that. We should get that for the exit music.
Yes, we should.
An exit of Bernie Sanders singing.
But then we'd have to pay royalties.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like I don't know. If the song's like a minute, 10 seconds, I think is okay.
Yeah,
exactly.
Just
Fair use. It's like our show here.
Exactly.
Fair use.
Fair use. That's
Yeah.
All right. Ariel Ayers, our lovely producer.
Okay, so my tidbit, I'm just going to read you the headline and then I'm going to go from there. Vladimir Putin, Russia's action man president. Did you guys know that Putin is a judo black belt.
Yeah.
He's a
Heard about
sambo expert too.
Is he really?
And he loves walking around with his shirt off while shooting a bear or something like that.
Riding a horse.
I think
Is
that's
it,
a stereotype.
is it actually judo or is it sambo?
I think
Because
You know, I don't know.
very comfortable in Texas.
yeah,
Okay,
it would.
so I have a picture right here of Putin having just been floored by a 10-year-old Japanese girl
Nice.
with a green belt.
Wow.
He's on the
Nice.
floor, and she's like standing over him. I'm going to post it on the website. But Putin got knocked down.
That's
little kid with a green belt.
that's the I'm gonna kill a little Asian girl look he's got on his
It
face.
is.
That's a look, right?
Was she able
Yeah,
to
that's
go
totally
back to
the look.
Japan?
Tony's giving it to you right now.
That's not what that look was. That
Yeah, so that's my tidbit. I wanted to bring that up because I love this picture.
He got his ass kicked by a 10-year-old girl who's just a green belt.
Also,
Yeah.
I don't know what this article, why it's phrasing it this way, but Vladimir Putin, from spy to president.
Well, yeah.
He
Well,
was
it's putting
a
it that way
spy
because he
and,
used
like,
to be a
and
spy.
no, I know.
and then
now
I know. It's just
It's
funny.
a very clever way
I liked it.
to express this concept.
From the article is about his
Getting his ass handed to him by a
yes,
10-year-old girl.
and then they're
No,
like
in what
from
context,
spy
though?
to
Was
president.
he teaching him and teaching her and just showing her how to do a projection and
Yeah,
launch
that
himself?
is-
I don't get any
Or
background on it. I
was
want to
an
find out. I
actual
love
fight
it.
and he
Well,
lost?
given that
different.
the picture itself is the only context she has right now
Yes.
for that, I'm going to assume, as is my right,
As an American
as an American,
As an American.
that this is actually a picture of a street fight
Yes,
They're in,
that she started.
they're in
yes.
a boardroom surrounded by men in suits.
No,
Shut
he
up.
started it.
And he lost.
started this fight.
he kicked her down.
And so she challenged him.
And well, what she did
won.
is she
This is
very
accurate.
silently
This-
got up
This is
calmly.
an accurate representation of the
And
last
killed
time
Putin.
that Japan and Russia went to war.
This is the look before
Oh,
she
no.
swung with her final blow.
All right.
Yep.
So my tidbit. Apparently, in Turkey, it is illegal to insult the president.
Yes, it
Like
is.
in a great many of these
So
other
Erdogan is a
countries.
terrible, terrible human being. And should not be counted as a democratic president, but a dictator.
Yeah.
Eschewed from
Member
polite
of
society.
Turkey's Public Health Service went online and compared the president of Turkey to Gollum.
Yeah.
He was
Like-
promptly arrested. So this guy is in jail, and he's going to be facing charges. He has a defense lawyer, and there is a prosecution lawyer. The prosecution lawyer's actual
Do you know they're near the microphone?
yeah, they're right next to the microphone.
I'm sorry, I'm
That's
showing him
crazy.
pictures of Erdogan's presidential palace
How do you fill that much space?
The
with
prosecution,
his ego.
Right.
the prosecution in this court case, their strategy is they are saying it is an obvious insult. Because Gollum is known for his grotesque appearance, his split personality, eating raw fish, and disliking rabbit stew with potatoes.
Is that the like?
Does
I
that
feel like they're
describe Erdogan?
missing one huge portion of that guy's personality.
Murder?
The defense.
Obsession.
The official defense, the actual defense strategy is saying, no. Gollum is known for assisting the hobbits, Frodo and Sam, in their quest to reach Mount Doom to destroy the Ring of Power, thereby defeating the evil Lord Sauron and ushering an era of peace to the fictional world of Middle-earth.
I will find that defense lawyer, and I will hug them.
Oh, wait. It gets
So-
better, guys.
The judge in this case, the judge said that he is not yet fit to judge this case because he has never read the books or seen the movie.
Oh my god.
So, the judge is calling in a special team of Gollum experts Judge is calling in.
Just let me marinate in that for a minute.
The world is a beautiful place.
Yeah. So the judge has got a team of
How do I
court
gain employment as a Gollum expert? What I'm doing right now is way too hard.
So there's a team of court-appointed Gollum experts who will be testifying in front of this judge.
That's beautiful.
In the meantime, this has gotten so weird, social media is going crazy, with everyone referring to the president as precious.
Well, he does have a darling sort of innocence about him.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, well,
Thank you, Adam. That
Oh
made
my
my
God.
universe a brighter place.
the world is a better place for that defense lawyer existing. I've never felt so fondly for a lawyer.
Goodbye.
That was it?
That was
Say,
really
I'm
creepy.
Adam.
Oh yes. Wait a minute. That is not a real goodbye. Just saying
No.
goodbye. Oh.
You gotta leave him with something,
Yes,
man.
I know. I thought that Adam just said to say goodbye, so I was like, goodbye. But no.
Borat.
Very nice. Thanks for
So he takes off his mask. He is.
Oh, well, this is Anthony DeFranco with Daniel Maroney, with Alvaro Gutierrez, with Ariel Ayers, and Adam Kincaid. So until next week, don't sleep with Charlie Sheen.
And grab a cup of coffee and tune in.